Good morning again. It's me, your teacher, and I figured I'd come out on my porch and read you a couple of chapters in Mr. Terrap Falls again. It's so nice out. I hope that you guys are able to take your work maybe outside this morning. So I think we ended up on Luke. So we had just finished our work with the Westing game when Mr. Terrap introduced our next major task. October was a month for surprises. Research gang. I think it's time we tackle a research project, he said, standing at the front of the room. I liked it, but what would I research? What do you mean project? Tommy asked. Well, instead of simply writing papers, I thought we'd try developing PowerPoint presentations. We can share them with each other and maybe some other people too. Awesome! Classic, Mr. Terrap. Everyone got excited and started talking about ideas. So I'm not sure if anyone else saw his spell. Mr. Terrap closed his eyes and leaned on the front table until he felt steady again. Then he continued as if nothing had happened. You can choose to work alone or with a partner, Mr. Terrap said. He went on to explain more, but my wheels were already spinning. I was eager to get started again right away with this new project, and I knew exactly what my topic would be. Mr. Terrap's bouts of dizziness and lightheadedness were bugging me. I didn't like that he was having them. I wasn't sure if it was anything to do with these observations or not. So that's why I decided to research post-head trauma complications and side effects. I needed to make sure Mr. Terrap was okay. Question: is there a link between Mr. Terrap's spells and his head trauma? Detective Luke. So this chapter is Alexa. Jessica didn't give me much time to think about the research thing. She asked me if I wanted to be her partner that very day. I'd never said no to her when it came to working on a project. Lexi, I've got a great idea for the research project. Want to do it with me? We were sitting at a table in the cafeteria eating our lunches. Danielle and Anna were sitting with us, but they were busy talking about something else. Maybe that was why Jessica asked me, because I was just chilling. What's your idea? I asked her. I want to research making movies. What was I supposed to say? I didn't know anything about making movies, so I was quiet. I think Jessica thought my silence meant that, I wasn't excited about her idea. It'll be great. You can focus on costume and wardrobe design, Jessica said. You can even dress up as a fancy actress for our presentation. I raised my eyebrows. That was sounding better. Jessica could tell I was warming up to the idea. She smiled. Basically, I wanted to stick with Jessica for a partner. I knew she'd do all sorts of research, and I could just sort of tag along. I wasn't exactly using her. It wasn't like I wanted to do all the work, but she wouldn't care. And I had other things to worry about, like getting to the hangout after school. I thought about that all the time. Hey, little brat, good to see you, girl, Rena said when I walked into the back room of the abandoned house that afternoon. She always greeted me like that. Have we got a surprise for you today, Lisa said. They must not have had a lot of homework. Usually I like surprises, but I was nervous about this one. I should have seen that was a warning sign. Enough of the cutesy animal stuff and pretty pink hearts, little brat. We're gonna make a woman out of you, Rena said. Suddenly, I felt like their little project, but I went along with them, again. Lisa and Rena had all sorts of hand-me-down clothes and accessories for me. I love clothes, so I stopped feeling nervous. I thought of it as my wardrobe research. They helped me pick out an outfit, and I hurried into one of the other rooms and tried it on. Now that's hot, Lisa said, pointing to me when I came back. I was wearing black yoga pants and a camouflage top. I used a matching camo scrunchie to hold my hair. That's fresh, Rena said. Camo's hot. You look older now, Lisa said. I smiled. I did feel older in the clothes, and hanging out with Lisa and Rena. How couldn't I feel that way after going to school with Boy Scout Luke? He'd actually worn his Boy Scout shirt to school that day. What a dork. If anyone needed wardrobe help, it was Luke. But I was the one who knew how to appreciate these clothes. I thought you meant she looked hot for real, Brandon said as he walked in and plunked down on the sofa. What was he doing here? Why wasn't he at football practice? You know, after all that pedaling, he said. Here, have a drink, Lex. He handed me a bottle. Come up here, Bon. Come on. Come on. You can do it. Come. Oh my gosh. Let me help you. Let me help you. Oh my boy. He needs help. He needs help, huh? What do you say? I know. He handed me his bottled water. That was when I noticed his other arm in a cast. What happened, I said. Broke it during our last game. I've got a metal plate and 8 screws in there now. He paused. That means no more football, he said with his voice lowered. And kiss wrestling season goodbye, too. Brandon shook his head. It really sucks. But hey, guess I can party it up now. So take a drink, Lexi. I was hot for real. Plus, I felt bad for Brandon. I didn't know what to say or do, so I took a big gulp from his bottle and spit the firewater all over the room. If I thought my chest burned after my first cigarette, let me tell you, I was wrong. My mouth and throat were torched from the swallow. Brandon was practically rolling around on the floor. On the floor. He was laughing so hard. He reminded me of Peter after he hit me with that flying cardboard square the day we were counting blades of grass with Teach. Like Peter, Brandon thought he was too funny. That was mean, Brandon, Lisa said. But funny, he said. What is that? I yelled. Vodka, Brandon said. Teachers think they're so smart, but they're so easy to trick. All you have to do is put vodka in a water bottle and I can go all day without them even knowing what I'm drinking. Fools on them. Not teacher, I thought. No way could you fool Mr. Terup. Thinking of Teach suddenly made me very uneasy. Well, like I said, I can't stay today. I lied. My mom is totally going to be home early, so I needed to get going. What are you talking about? Brandon demanded. He punched the sofa, got up, and started pacing back and forth. You don't need to go anywhere. It's party time. Sit down. He was mad all of a sudden, and I was really scared. His temper reminded me of my dad's. Let her go, Lisa said. Brandon spun to face Lisa, and I quickly made my move to leave. Shut up, I heard him yelling. I ran outside, jumped on my bike, and pedaled as fast as I could to get away from the hangout. Behind me, I heard Brandon's car start up. I got off the road and I hid. When I looked back, I saw the dust flying from his famous fishtail exit as he sped away in the other direction. Oh boy. Okay, so this is Danielle. I had a hard time thinking about anything other than the man in our fields. Grandma told me ignorance is bliss, but that didn't stop me from worrying. I already knew too much. I saw how upset my family was that night in the kitchen. I saw how stressed my grandma continued to be, and I saw my grandmother's growing concern over my stressed out grandfather. Grandpa didn't have time for small talk at the dinner table anymore. He talked less and less and less and seemed to be looking out the window more and more and more. Looking for that man in our fields, I knew. There was silent talk between Mom and Grandma, their eyes darting back and forth across the table, and I was supposed to be ignorant. Not a chance. I read the Weston game like Mr. Terup wanted, but I just didn't have the mind energy to try and solve the mystery like he had hoped. And I couldn't come up with something for the new PowerPoint project. I wanted to research an answer to the man in our fields, but I didn't know what question to ask in order to get a presentation out of that. So I was topicless. But I wasn't the only one. Peter was without a topic too. Mr. Terup pulled us aside one day and asked us what we thought about researching drugs. What do you mean drugs? I asked. I mean the bad ones, Mr. Terup said. The ones you hear about in the news and will hear about all too soon in school. The ones you and your friends might be asked to try someday. Peter and I were very quiet. What did Mr. Terup mean, asked to try? I wasn't ever going to do drugs. I didn't even know what that meant, but I knew it was bad. And that was when I realized I didn't know much of anything about drugs. I was beginning to understand why Mr. Terup thought it could be a good topic. You want us to learn about some of the bad drugs, what they could do to us, and what else, I said. Well, first, I just wanted you to see what you thought about the topic, Mr. Terup said. If you're okay with it, I'll let you get started. Then I'll check back with you after you've done some work, and I'll help you get more focused with your research. I looked at Peter, and all he did was shrug, so I said, okay, great, we'll do it. Great, Mr. Terup said. Snow Hill School doesn't have a formal drug education program like DARE, so I know we'll learn a lot from you guys, and it's going to be really important. Look, Danielle, Peter said when Mr. Terup walked away, I'll help you do this research because I feel bad if I make you do all of the work alone, but I can't help you with the actual PowerPoint stuff. Why not? I just can't. Well, what if I tell Mr. Terup, I said. I wasn't really going to be a tattletale, but I threatened it anyways. Peter started to say something, but then stopped. He was thinking. Then he surprised me. Go ahead, he said. Tell him. I don't care. Peter did just what he said he'd do. He helped gather information and he did zero work on the computer. But I didn't rat him out. I didn't have to. Mr. Terup knew something was up. He told me so. Dear God, ignorance might be bliss, but I am not ignorant about that man in our fields. I'm even worrying about him. Despite Grandma's wishes, I pray you can help me get some answers. And I pray for Grandpa, who looks so stressed out these days. Please provide comfort for my family. And God, I think you should check on Peter. I'm not sure what he's up to, but he might need some help and some guidance. Amen. Okay, so we'll stop there for today. I really miss reading to you guys, and so I think I want to do this every day. Just because it's nice to hear somebody else read to you once in a while. So, we will read about Jeffrey and, let's see, Jeffrey tomorrow, and Jessica, and Anna, and Peter. So, have a great rest of your day. Get outside, enjoy this beautiful sunshine, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.